Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Creators Outlet. Please subscribe, comment, and share. And please join our YouTube family channel, youtube.com/C/Creators Outlet. On the race to 300 subs, we have a big prize pack we're giving away, including a graded and signed comic. So please join us there and follow me on Twitter @JokerFan. And every week, the schedule for Creators Outlet is pinned there. Even though we had a surprise entry, special edition tomorrow at 1 p.m., we're going to have Marv V from the Sin Killer back on at 1 in the afternoon tomorrow. But right now, we'd like to welcome our special guest, Connery from the comic book Shift.
Hey everyone, it's nice to see you all. My name is Connery from Dragon Multimedia, and we do thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thanks for coming on out. And why don't you start by telling us what first got you interested in comic books?
So it's definitely my love of storytelling that really got me to really appreciate comics. So when I was younger, about 2011, I keep telling the story. I always talk about how I started a little bit with going anime, and later on in 2014, it became a little bit of a bigger thing on the YouTube. At the same time, when I was a little younger, I was getting into comic books. And part of that is the older Sonic comics. It's hit or miss with some of the newer stuff, late 2000s onward, because it started getting a little questionable with the quality, but I digress. It got me into it, so hey, all that counts, I guess. And then I started reading other comics, and I'm not the hugest comic fan. I do know a lot of stuff more than just the movies, and I do love reading independents. And again, it's a really great medium to storytell, and I'm happy to be part of it.
And you're doing your first book now?
Yes, this is the first comic under Dragon Multimedia LLC, and it's my first that I'm no, not the CEO because I'm the CEO of the company, but I am the project manager on it, which means I was the creator, and I also help manage day-to-day operations with the comic, making sure everything is on track for scheduling and that sort of stuff.
And I asked this on another show the other day, but I'll forget what I had for breakfast because I'm getting old. Tell us how you and Michael Loden ended up meeting and hooking up on a collab now.
Funny story. So, you ever heard of this site called Cartoonist for Hire?
No, but I've heard of a lot of sites like that.
He was literally one of the writers on that site, and I thought, okay, the writing might not be up his alley, but hey, it's worth a shot contacting him. Then I believe he was messaging me after a while, and then what I believe happened was he ghosted me because I believe either A, he didn't see it, which was my best guess, or B, which is my best guess, it's the latter. It was when all the stuff was starting to show up while he was working on some of the other projects, so a lot of the personal struggles. So by the time I messaged him later on, those personal struggles became less of a hassle, and he probably finally saw the message. So after that, we became good partners. I help promote his book from time to time. He does mine as well. Again, he's such a great part of the team. He actually helped a lot, especially with some of the story ideas later on, and especially with some of the paneling as well.
Yeah, he's got quite a bit of experience in the medium now.
Mm-hmm.
And his latest book was The Embrace was just like a huge hit with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So now, is he writing this?
Yes and no. The original outline was done by me, but he helped refine the outline, and he is the final accredited writer.
Okay, so you plotted the entire story. You plotted the entire story.
The original
And-
outline, yes.
Yeah.
And then there were some changes along the way that was suggested by him, and it's why he's the credited writer, not me. Because he was the one who finalized everything, and he's the one who helped out with panels and stuff, so obviously he's the credited writer.
Makes sense. I just want to bring up the page here and throw this in the chat so anybody that sees this can go right to the sign up page for Indiegogo. There we go. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Because I won't pay for any more. And we'll bring that up so people can see what that looks like.
I use Restream, so.
I've actually gone on Dark Gift Comics Restream a bunch of times, and it's okay, but it doesn't do what I want it to do, and they want you to buy the professional level just to be able to put your own icon in. And I'm like,
I got it at a discount, and ironically, if it was thanks to Dark Gift that actually got me into it, because what happened was he was the one who told me about the discount, and then it was just a normal chat, and because he and Odin are friends, so we had a chat, and he got me into the link. Ironically, I also know a secret way to get a similar promotion for basically as long as I use it. So, yeah, wink, wink.
yeah, I liked a couple of the things, but my issue is where StreamYard runs everything from the cloud. Restream runs everything and takes up a lot of resources from your computer.
That's definitely understandable. I had some minor issues, at least on the preview page, where the video wasn't playing, but then it was fine everywhere else. So I think it's mainly just the preview that's mainly like when it plays a video and it chugs, but it doesn't chug anywhere else. It's just the preview probably being powered.
Yeah, I had an issue because I kept my icon up instead of the camera, and when I actually turned the camera on, when I went to go turn it back off about 5 minutes later, it locked up my entire system. Like I had like 4 windows open and they all froze, and I'm like, that shouldn't be doing that. I got like 16 gigs of RAM in this old hunk of junk.
Do you have a desktop or a laptop?
Desktop, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I always, when I try to build a desktop, I make sure it's made for gaming, because then all the work stuff comes with it. So,
yeah, I always go desktop. I'm not a laptop person at all.
Ironically, one of my greatest finds was actually a laptop, because I was so dissatisfied with the Surface Pro that I had that I actually got this for steel. A workstation ThinkPad. And it's been kicking so much ass lately. Like, it's done so much better than the Surface Pro that I had for a couple months. It's that good. And I only paid like $200 for it at an e-recycling plant, so.
Yeah, I've got a nice Samsung tablet that I just picked up like a couple months ago, and I use that when I have to read like review copy, or somebody sends me a link to like preview of their book, for before a show when they have a campaign going on. So it's helpful, but I don't use it all the time. I use it to keep up, like on my social media when my my phone's like, charge me. I just switch over to the tablet. So it's basically so I can spend more time sitting and relaxing in my recliner when I'm not actually working.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sharing us out from my group, and we're going live on Outright Decree and a couple of other groups, including the Comic Book Madness.
Ironically, I know those guys, especially Pops, because he used to do a show with, I believe, Piper, and then they decided to split it. Ironically, I think Shift was the last book that was featured on that show.
Oh, so you were on like their last
Yeah,
show,
their
yeah.
last poppin'.
Yeah, I check out a bunch of streams on Monday because there's a whole bunch during the day. So I'll jump on for a little bit over on the CG UK stream for the Bargain Bin and a couple others I run across while I'm scheduling and promoting, the very beginning of the week. So it's it's still an interesting take on some things.
It's weird to think about at times because I've actually watched a couple of streams from all different types of creators. Some like CG, some hate CG, some are neutral. And it's weird how all similar everybody is. Like, it's really a crazy world how everybody, they have a different look in times, but they are so similar at times. Like, it's strange to think about.
Yeah, it kills me when the mainstream is all, CG is a hate group. No, it's not. There was a big split in CG, and it's not a hate group. It's just people that want to make good comics without pushing some forced, social justice platform like Marvel and DC and Image and all of them seem to be doing right now. So,
but I think the biggest problem is that the way they're acknowledging it is not a very good idea because wait 1 second. There's a minor glitch on my end with the camera. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
My apologies. So it froze on my end, the camera, but I just had to plug it in and plug it back in.
Okay.
So as I was saying, the thing is, all the industry had to do, if they really didn't like it, was ignore it or acknowledge, yeah, it exists, but stay neutral. Because the thing is, you can have allies on both ends. Just because someone is, for example, comics gay does not mean you can't work with them or talk with them. And if someone, I've accidentally sometimes have talked with, like during one of the shout outs we did on Twitter, we accidentally, well, I wouldn't say accidentally because it was my fault, but we added someone who didn't like CG. And he said that he wasn't affiliated, but all we had to do was tell him, hey, we aren't affiliating anyone. All we're doing is promoting a bunch of campaigns, regardless of their status, because we like comics. The idea is we're very open. Because
yeah, that's the whole thing. On the CG side, everybody's open and and fine with everything. On the other end, it's either our way or no way. It's like you can have, it's like you either have to just like peanut butter or just like jelly as far as they're concerned.
I think it's just a small group because I've had experience since Dragon obviously isn't CG, because the problem is, how does CG fit into a multimedia company? That doesn't really make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked with people from both sides, and some of the people who don't like CG actually are just normal individuals. We're able to talk with them, work with them, and we're able to understand each other. So I think it's just the ones who, I think it's just their egos that are blocking them. That's the biggest thing. The ones that are the loudest are the ones that I believe have damaged egos. And that's the biggest problem. They won't put their ego behind them to just let it be. Because the thing is, if you just ignore it and don't give them the attention, none of the backlash comes in. And that's what the industry is not getting. Because they opened their mouth the way they did, it's damaging them in the long run. Comics did or not, it's their fault that they got a bad reputation. And whether they like it or not, they have to realize that. They have to start owning up for those mistakes, their actions, their consequences. Because the thing is, you can only do it for so long before the money goes away. And they have to realize that a lot of indies will also be a very helpful place to not only get jobs later on, but also interact with the community. Well, not really more community, but more fandom in other stuff, since community is a lot more broad at times. But again, the problem is you need to realize that they're a customer service business first, and because they're refusing to listen, like I have already stated many times, that we might not be Comicsgate, but we are a customer service business first, because it might be just one person running at me, but I want to treat the customer with respect. I'm only going to be a jerk if you're a jerk to me. If you're a nice person, I'll be willing to chat with you. I can work with you. But if you're going to be a jerk, you're eliminating a lot of potential audiences, including me. So why bother doing it?
Yeah, it's weird like that. It's, you know, it goes back to they want to weaponize everything, which they've already done. There was a list made by Comicsgate that just highlighted creators that were Comicsgate. So when other people in this huge community were putting projects together, if they wanted to, they could search through and, find people to work on the project with them if they wanted. And what happened is three of the big publishers found that list online and they weaponized it. They blacklisted everybody that was on that list. And if they're talking to somebody, they go through their entire history. And if somebody, even fairly prominent in the Comicsgate community is on there, they deep six them. They're like, no.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to say to those companies, it sucks to be them, because again, you're basically doing what you claim they're doing in reverse. Because the problem is, if you're just going, because let's just say someone is Comicsgate and they go for a job, why should you care that they labeled it? Are they nice? What are their skill set? Do they actually care about the job? Because again, here's the thing you might not realize at times, because these companies are shooting themselves in the foot more than they think. Because the thing is, if they're caring more about a label, then that's the dumbest way to run your company. Because in a business, you cannot care about a label. Comicsgate might be more than a label to anyone, but the reason why I'm simplifying it is to put it in business terms, because this is a business argument. I'm arguing why this is a bad business move to judge people on labels, because it's a very dumb move, because you're touting that you are very diverse and stuff, but by judging people on labels, you're doing the opposite. And what do you think that's going to do to your brand? It's dumb. And again, it's why with Young Multimedia, we're willing to work with anyone. It's why even people who don't like CG, when I like to talk with them and see their side at times, because a lot of them actually are chill. They're actually not as bad sometimes as they appear on social media, because the biggest problem is that they don't understand their public image. And when I talk with them about it and they realize, maybe I'm doing this wrong. Because the problem is, they don't figure out that the public image that they're creating is terrible. And in business terms, the idea that you're judging someone because of a label is even dumber for business, because you're eliminating a bunch of people that could be potential moneymakers.
Yep, exactly. They're leaving money on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell that to creators that are like, goes, well, I'll only do a project on Indiegogo.
Mm-hmm.
I won't deal with Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why would you leave potential money on the table?
Mm-hmm.
I see like the best way to do a project, as far as I'm concerned, is to, if you've got, and you'll know after a certain amount of months of pushing the sign up page,
Mm-hmm.
You'll know which side, your audience is on. If you've got, you can put a poll up on your Twitter page.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, when we launch, the end of August, beginning of September, would you prefer,
The thing is, we're not doing that because we've already made a decision.
Yeah, I know you've already made a decision, but
the real thing is, it's not because of any company politics. The truth is, we just like Indiegogo system a lot better because they charge the payment up front, which is absolutely necessary for our book, because we need the money. We need it to help fund everything.
Yeah, and you get to pay out like every 2 weeks. Yeah,
with a system like on Kickstarter where it's unguaranteed. Like, I've had failed payments in the past, some that have been completely dropped. And if I know that, why should I trust Kickstarter with it? This has nothing to do with even comics politics, because again, they'll probably let my project on because, like, they don't know who I am, and even then, it's not like they can point fingers at me, because again, I've already stated, A, I'm not comics based, so they can't really use that against me, and B, again, it's something that they would like, because again, they like fantasy and stuff. But the biggest problem is we don't like the system. Like, we do not like that it's not up front. So, unfortunately, we had to do Indiegogo because we feel like it's the better of the trusted platforms, because we're also looking at Zoop, ironically, but I don't know how successful that's going to be. Like, some of the products have been funded, but it's very unguaranteed, at least for right now. Like, it kind of reminds me of Fig a little bit, but at least Fig got bought out by an actual later investment company that actually knows what they're doing. So, again, we decided to go because, again, as stated before, it's a better funding system, and we just like some of the features like in demand and stuff. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't blame anybody either way. It's like most of the features on Indiegogo I like a million times better than Kickstarter, and the way it's set up and the way the spreadsheet runs at the end, everything is a little better. Of course, their variant spreadsheet and package thing could be, 100% streamlined, so it's not, a jumble when you go to, do fulfillment, but it is what it is. But no, my thing is, it's like I've bought I bought from both you know, Kickstarter and Indiegogo, because some people have lots and lots of projects they're trying to push out every year.
Mm-hmm.
So they flip flop. They go from one to the other, and a lot of times they'll either do a second chance campaign on Indiegogo, or some of the bigger names will run them back to back, and then sometimes they'll, the Kickstarter ends, it funds, fine, boom, they all get fulfilled, and they put like one huge order in for all the books. When Indiegogo finishes, they fulfill there. Plus, they can leave it in demand for forever if they want, pretty much. But I've seen that. I've seen that a lot. It just my opinion is just not to leave money on the table. The other consideration is the percentage of overprint you want to do. One, to cover any damages, and two, to have anything to sell at local conventions and book signings.
Because ironically, we had a little bit of a promotion tool actually recently, because if you have no idea, we made these little business cards. And the idea is we basically I put my information on like it's a normal business card. And then on the back, it's a promotion tool. So it's both a promotion for the comic and the business. Because we believe that, again, one of the biggest things is marketing. And again, we love to do simple things like that because it's such an easy thing to do, to get a bunch of business cards, hand them out at local events. I mean, it's really freaking easy to get interest because, again, when you hand them out to everybody, some are gonna go to the link, some might not. But again, it's that idea of promotion that really does help.
Yeah, the big thing would be to hand them the side with the comic up, and do like a quick 10-second spiel for the for the book and where they can find it, and just be like, and all our information to contact us is on the back if you're interested.
Yeah, but I think this is a little cooler. It's a little cooler to do. Looks like it got stuck. But
that's not the cool part.
Yeah, I know. But it's the way we designed them, though, because they go out like dragons.
Oh, okay, you get the push-out case. I get it.
Yeah, I get to push it out because, and then it looks like the dragons are flying out. Again, it's something that we love to try all these little bland things, and we always love to look back at the past dragon that had the identity and honor it as well, while also giving our own spin with it, which is, again, a long branding ramble, but I think we spent a little bit too long not talking about the comic because it's almost an hour.
See? Well, I'd like to talk about everything, not just the projects that's out, just to get to know you better and see where you're coming from. I know because I was stalking in the chat over on Ink this afternoon, so I know you got some pages to show us.
Yep.
So why don't you throw up those links, then we can start talking about the book.
What do you mean links? Do you need me to send them in private chat or?
Oh no, just you can share the page and.
Oh, okay. Give me 1 second because I'm just setting it up so I can. So give me 1 second, just so I can make it presentable. There we go. And so let me show. Well, first I'll introduce the project because this is Shift. Now, it's one of our major comic. Well, it's our first major comic project with Dragon Multimedia and everybody involved. It is one of our bigger projects compared to some of the others, since I'm more directly involved than some of the others. And it really is a passion project of mine because we've developed half a year. It's been half a year since I at least started development of it. And then early 2020, we started getting everything together, and that's how we ended up with the current version of it.
And is Sunny one of your main characters that
Yes, she is
rock around?
Yes, she is one of the main characters. She is the newbie of what will later be the group, but again, I don't want to get too much into spoilers. So, Sunny is a secret, and it's one that she's been planning on using a long time to change the world to being a hero. Now the moment is here, and she's unsure if she can rise to the occasion. Enter the world of Shiobia and discover the secrets of shifters and the role they play in a changing world.
So they can shapeshift.
Yes.
And everything is all their shifting abilities are related to animals on the planet.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
They do come from a different universe, and yes, a lot of their shifts can be based on animals, but the idea is that it's potentially unlimited, but very few can master it. And when you're starting out, you get one or two. The idea with Sunny's is, again, I'm going to go a little brief so I don't get into spoilers, but it's based on what she saw basically herself as the hero was as a kid. And this is what her first visualizer of it is. And later on it does change, but in issue 1, this is basically her first visualization of it until later on when it's more refined. And I'm pretty sure you can tell, but it is very much inspired by a lot of 2000s style animation. Like it is that it's before a lot of the 2010 stuff, but it is after the 90s with that more action adventure comedy vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also restrained because it knows how to be serious, but it also knows how to have a little bit of fun.
And you have some pages you want to share.
Yes. Let me pull it up. First one is one completely done. So let me pull this one up. And this is one of our fully done pages. Let me zoom out. There we go. This is one of our fully done pages, fully lettered and everything.
I like the color palette.
Mm. It's definitely a unique style, especially with our artist who we brought on, whose name is Vingo, and he has a colorist named Adams, and the duo do such amazing work. We're very happy to have him on board.
Yeah, it is. I know you said like 2000s era animation, and their art style is definitely like very animated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is. Oh, hey, Pops. Anyway, so
what up, Pops? Long time no see.
It is very much at the end of the day, it's Night Odin. Okay, so again, we really did go to those 2000 style of animation. You might notice a little bit of Ben 10 in there, a little bit of Sonic stuff in there. It really is a love letter because while we were developing it, it didn't really come to mind, but the more and more I talk about it, it really does really show as an homage to the 2000s because of that unique style of animation where it's very cartoony but serious, which is a great balance and built on a lot of the 90s era stuff, which I grew up with, Ringo grew up with, Odin not so much. At least I don't believe. But again, maybe he did, and we didn't know. But it really is something that, growing up, it really is nice to fully tell your own stories with a style that is familiar yet different.
Well, I'll tell you, the bottom left panel, the top of that panel, I see what looks like a very, to me, stands out as like a new take on a Wile E. Coyote kind of character.
Mm-hmm. Yes and no. He is Bowie. Now, Bowie is a cat shark, and he's basically, again, I did mention it was action adventure comedic, but it does know how to be serious. He's one of the more serious characters because he's a bit reckless and he's more bronze, but not as much fought. Because the idea is, I'll pull up another page to show you this a little bit more, but he's not as chaotic as Wile E. Coyote, but he is a bit unrestrained at times. Because when he has a goal, he wants to set at it, and he doesn't care how he gets it done. He wants to get it done.
A very determined character.
And he is somewhat on a bit of a revenge plot, mainly against Sunny and her family. I'm not going to explain why, because spoilers, but he does have a good reason for it. It's not Sunny's fault particularly, but it does breed in a little bit to how the world works, in how there was a bit of a rough time over this transition where the shapeshifters were going from one universe to another, and how even if they became heroes, some would have some vendettas against them, and how it would affect later generations.
I like the way the artist does the movement of the characters too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely is a very unique style. It's why, ironically, we contacted Ringo, because again, his style was very unique. Like, I remember the first thing I saw from him was, it was a different art piece, and then later on when I saw this one Sonic art piece where it's a very similar style to this but a little different, we were like, oh yeah, we got to get him on board, because at that point we didn't have any of the other artists. They aren't really well known or look at their messages that much, so again, I don't have any hard feelings against any of the ones I did message, so I'd love to message them again and hopefully do work with them in the future. But again, Mingo was one of our top choices, so I knew I had to contact him, and I'm glad I did, because he turned out to be a really good fit for this project.
And where's he from?
I don't 100% know, because most of my interactions are online, but give me 1 second to check. Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, I don't see it, so I don't think he wanted to shed publicly. So again, I'll just leave it at that for right now, because
he's somewhere in the world, and only Carmen Sandiego knows.
Yes, he is also a student like me, and he does fantastic work. Like, he's extremely talented, especially at his age. Because I'm like, I would expect this art from someone a little older, but again, he's really been refining it, and again, I'm super happy to have him on the project, and his colorist does a great job too. So I'm happy to have him on board.
Yeah, it's always tough trying to find the right fit for what you're looking for a book. Luckily, the interwebs have made it so much easier to search various platforms and sites. for artists and for anybody to work on a project, but you really want somebody like your artist here who is very communicative and very good responsively to anybody that doesn't like respond within like 48 hours. I tend to we're all set. you know
Again,
it's
I
it's
feel
not.
like the ones that I did contact, again, I don't have any hard feelings because they're probably super busy, and if they are fully booked with their messages, of course they won't see it. But again,
Mhm.
I wouldn't really hold it against any of them because, again, I'd love to work with them. If they actually see the messages at one point and then realize, oh crap, this is actually how it doesn't work, I'd be happy to. I'll probably message them probably again for a side project, and then if they actually answer want to do the main book as well with one of the side stories, I'll be happy to bring them on. But yeah,
Yeah,
again,
do that, or if they've got limited time, see if they have interest in providing some source material, and see if they have interest in
mhm,
doing a limited edition print for the campaign.
mhm. Yeah, it's definitely something we're planning. But again, obviously we're focusing on issue one, but with issue two, we're thinking of a mix of variants, which the idea is you got issue one, which has the main variant, and the main one that's used for everywhere, and then a different exclusive from the one that we had before. And then we're also thinking of having this Wards of Shift, which is obviously in the planning stages because we don't know if we're doing it yet. But the idea is we get a bunch of artists who have a similar theme and we have covers based on it. Probably three or four at most, maybe one or two at least. We're thinking of the next one being werewolf themed, since again that's a big interest. But again, we're still planning, we're still calculating. Right now, we're just mainly focused on the first one because we don't want to get sidetracked. It's not really something we want to do, and if we get sidetracked too much, then something disastrous could go through, and it could really damage us as a whole. So, again, obviously
Yeah,
working
you
time.
want to take it at a you want to take it kind of like at a slow, even pace because
Mhm.
you want to take your time to do it so you do it right and aren't
Mhm.
going back and forth on everything.
Oh, absolutely.
So you guys are thinking of launching the actual Indiegogo when?
Let me pull out the business card because this is probably going to be a little bit of a
It's on
reveal to
there.
some because we keep saying late August, but obviously I was planning on saving this. But again, if you have no idea on the business card, the official date is August 29th. We are officially
Breaking
launching this.
news.
I'll probably reveal it again because I like to
Yeah.
do that. I love to do reveals. I'm a bit of that. I'm a bit of one of those spokespersons. Like, I love to just repeat stuff over and over again because it
Well,
works so freaking well at times. Because
yeah. Well, that's what a lot of this is with going on all the various shows is it's rinse and repeat. You always when you haven't done this, you always start off like a little shaky, and you get smoother and smoother and smoother as it goes.
oh, I could absolutely agree because I saw my Indie Vault appearance from the first time till now. It's obviously this one's a little bit unorganized, similar to how I was a little bit where I rambled on at times. But again, I'm comparing this one, which is a little less focused, to Indie Volt, where I got a little stuck on answers at times, and I have a problem with interrupting at times because, well, hang on. Yeah, that kind of thing. So obviously I have improved. I have lightened up, and I'm not crapping anyone on Indie Vote at all. I'm actually looking at potentially coming back as well because I love the guys there. I love everybody at Arrow. I love everybody at Lotona. I love everybody who actually just gives me a chance to talk, and everyone who's just willing to actually give me a chance to talk about my project. It's why I mentioned how I was able to talk with people who don't like CG and people who like CG and people who are neutral, because I just want a platform to talk about my project, and I'm willing to listen to you guys because it's in my nature to be open, because I don't want to close myself. I want to be an open person. And I'm only going to be a jerk if people are jerks to me. And it's not worth going after someone if they have not been a jerk and they've been nothing but either helpful or neutral. So why bother going after them? I love to hear all sides, and it's just in my nature. I love to be that open guy who loves to hear everything because it's just in my nature. I love
Yeah,
to
if you don't listen to what people say, you're not going to learn from any experience. So
it definitely is an interesting experience, especially since, actually, ironically, recently, I was chatting on this Twitter space. I'm not sure if it was recorded or not, but it was on this Twitter space that one of the guys came onto this Twitter space. And I was like, it was brought up that this guy had done this one comic called Wrath, which is spelled with a W and R. And I was like, wait a minute. You're saying you're the writer of that comic, and it was funded on Indiegogo, right? And I had found out that that was the same author as the one that I had backed back in issue 1. So it was literally a couple days ago that I was chatting about how, oh, there was this one comic I had support on Indiegogo, and then days later I was talking with the guy. Like, it was just, especially as a, I wouldn't say I'm a hardcore fan. I did like the comic. Bit mixed on some things, but I still have to read issue 2. And again, it really is so cool to talk with some of these creators who I grew up with and some who are new to the scene. Ironically, one of the newer ones is actually one that's actually local. If you ever heard of,
whoops, wrong page. Here we go.
So,
Mighty Mascots. Yeah, we know him.
So, ironically, he was actually at a local convention. So, obviously, I got his books. But also, we were able to chat, and he was such a nice guy to chat to because, again, he was not only willing to talk with us, but also he was just a nice dude to chat with, and I enjoyed his work. So, again, it really is. I love that opportunity and stuff. I love to chat with creators. Ironically, one of them was, I believe, what's his name? Give me 1 second to check. Let's see.
Was that convention possibly in Connecticut?
It was nearby, yes.
Was it a terrific convention?
Yes, but not exactly close.
It was Mitch's convention.
Mitch's. Okay, so one of the artists, or, well, creators who actually, ironically, he actually responded to one of my shout outs because we're doing this major shout out day, and I was bringing up a bunch of projects that I had backed, and one of them was I was talking about Indiegogo, and a lot of the projects there, I'm extremely sorry if I did forget to mention you that day, but one of them that I did bring up was the Dragon's Lair campaign, and then I said how I was a bit dissatisfied due to the silence and how it was handled after the pitch. And then one of the things I brought up was how it was ironically another comic campaign that actually brought me back. And it was ironically, I'm pretty sure you heard of this one, Earthworm Jim, that actually got me back to the Indiegogo comic space. And also Wrath, but that was a little bit on a smaller scale. And I believe it was because I added Doug that he actually responded to it. So, again, it blew my mind. And it was actually interesting to hear him replying stuff to some of the comments. And it was really thought-provoking with some of the things. Because he mentioned how potentially it is worth keeping an open mind because not everybody's great at campaign management. But also how he was happy that we gave Indiegogo another chance. And again, it was an interesting experience doing the shoutouts because we got the one guy who didn't like Comicsgate, who didn't like that we brought it up, but again, it was our kindness that actually caused him to apologize, and actually, we're cool. Like, I don't have any grudges or anything. And we got frickin' Doug to ironically reply to the Twitter, so that's sounding pretty cool.
Yeah, it's always cool to be able to meet other creators. Before all this, stuff that we've been experiencing in the last couple of years went down. I covered Rhode Island Comic Con for Outright Geekery because I'm the content delivery manager there. So I talk to all the publishers every week, except Marvel and DC, because I like to talk to people doing something different. So I'm always in contact with small press publishers and some of the larger press publishers, but not the supposed big two that are shrinking daily. Speaking of which,
ironically, I've chatted with a couple just personally at times. And again, as I stated before, it's not that they are jerks, because when I chatted with them, they're actually pretty cool. It's just, again, their egos are clashing. Because the thing is, the reason why the big two are failing is that they can't handle that other people are doing work. And due to that, when it's the whole reason they went after Comicsgate, because again, it's not that. Because again, they know. In fact, I've chatted with some. They would probably align with Comicsgate, ironically, but they just can't say anything because they don't want to.
They are pushing a false narrative. Complete. It's all about the wokeness. Everything all these big corporations are doing right now is to make sure they fall in line, because there's something called ESG scores coming out. And if your score isn't high enough in certain areas, your company's going to be in trouble. That's what most of this is about. The other part is
any sense, because reading some of the stories, I'd argue some of them don't, even if, which I don't doubt that you're wrong, but even if, like, it's fully true, some of them, I don't even know how they would fit that scoring system, because some of them just seem like, let me give you an example. How does I Am Not Starfire, how does that thing get a good score?
You mean a good review score?
No, not a good review score. I mean on that scoring system. Because the thing is, I don't even think the people that they made the book for even liked it.
No, nobody liked it except all these, and I'm going to call them fake companies, because they're kiss-ups.
They're probably just paid. Enough said.
Well, there's that too, but they're kissing up on a regular basis giving, 5-star and 10, if it's based on 5 stars, they automatically get 5 stars. If it's based on 10 stars, it's automatically 10 stars for complete garbage like that they're pushing out.
Again, I'm pretty sure it's paid because let me tell you a story. So there was this New York Times article about diversity and what the heck is going on? But anyway, so it's mainly about the diversity in Star Trek Discovery. It was around season 2 when it was launched. And you want to know the one thing that everybody noted about that article? Paid for by CBS.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. What you might not realize is it's super easy to literally have someone write something for you. You say, hey, make sure you do this. Hey, we'll give you payment too. Because again, it's the one thing the Sony hack proved. It's the one thing that CBS article proved. And that was literally publicly admitted. They can pay for stuff. Half of this stuff is not genuine. And even if it was genuine, because personal beliefs, again, it is a bit questionable.
And that show is the worst of all the Star Treks. And I rest my case.
I think you might want to hold your beer on that one. I think Picard was a little bit worse.
Picard was just fan service because
that was not fan service.
They wanted the next generation back. Picard's dying. What are they going to do? Turn him into Data? It was pretty lame. But I would say Discovery is worse than Picard because all the Star Trek shows are known by the acronym of the initials of their name, which would make Star Trek Discovery an STD.
Perhaps, but the thing is with Discovery, I can easily put it in the shutter because I can just say it's non-canon. But with Picard, that's even harder because that takes place after, and yeah. Again, the reason why I didn't like it was that it was poorly written, like extremely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was extremely poorly written. Like, it's not even just politics and stuff, it's just poorly written.
Yeah, there were like, the supporting cast was better than the main stars of that show.
Which one, Picard or STD?
Picard.
Yeah, yes and no. Some of them were just not good.
Some of them, like Picard's second there, the female officer that was kicked out because of her alliance with him.
Oh god, that was so stupid.
Yeah.
I swear to God, if that actually happened in Star Trek, they could easily refute it, and I'm pretty sure that officer would not Picard's assistant, but the higher-ups would have been fired, and then it would have been about how she had to regain herself after that. Because
the whole thing was the person that made that happen was the undercover Romulan admiral at Starfleet. So it was, if you want to look at a case of, bad writing, you can look at anything after Next Generation actually ended.
I would argue after Enterprise, because after Enterprise came the Kelvin movies, which are hit and miss, and then the shows, which have been nothing but misses. Because it's just not great. It's not entertaining. And they're trying to win me over because, again, they're trying to go for that millennial audience. But what millennial who would actually be interested in Star Trek would like that? Like, you think that the ones who would have watched the original. And I'm not saying, like, the ones who... Because, again, I have met people who like Discovery, and, again, I respect their opinion, and I have chatted with them, and, again, they're good people. Regardless of what I think of their opinion, they are good people. But again, if you actually watch the show, the original ones, you can argue that they completely don't get it. And that this is literally just someone else's show with an IP on it.
Mm-hmm.
You can argue that with a bunch of the shows at this point. Because again, it's really complicated to fully expect those shows to be in the same universe. But again, I'm just getting off topic. Back to the article again. It's very easy to pay for this stuff because again, it's very easy to get in contact with them, and it's very easy to have the article basically given to you by the corporation who just voted for you.
Yeah, it's like they used to sing in Looney Tunes. It's a pay-for-play contract.
Mm-hmm. It's why most of them are not doing well. Again,
yeah,
whether you like the news articles or not, or whether you think that they are good or not, the money is not there anymore. Because again, it doesn't matter how good your writing is, or how much of a jerk you are on social media. It doesn't matter, either or. Because here's the thing, nobody cares. It was mainly a more side effect of the mainstream with politics, but then as it started seeping in, it got worse and worse, because then some of the clickbait that was used in the mainstream came to the other sites, and then it just got insane. Like, again, you think that someone like me who was supposed to be on their side, because again, millennial and literally their target demographic would be interested in this, but nobody is. My friends don't care. I don't care. So it's literally the worst thing that could happen to them. They turned off the older people, and they turned off the newer people.
Yeah,
It's a lose-lose situation.
what they tend to do with this continuation of an IP is they'll target the older fan like me and use us to basically market their stuff online by sharing out things about the show that's coming up, and or the movie or the series, whatever, whatever it is. And then when it hits, dare I say, He-Man alienates the older fan and doesn't really do anything for the younger fan either.
Oh my god, I hated that He-Man show. Because again,
see,
the only one I had watched was nothing. I watched Revelation. No, open-minded. I thought it. Oh, the first half sucked. My dad watched it. He likes a lot of the newer Star Trek. Even he admitted that show sucked. What does that tell you? It tells you a lot about how this marketing technique is failing. Because again, not everybody's on Twitter, not everybody's on Facebook, and not everybody, people in the real world who things that spread through word of mouth is a lot more powerful than Twitter or Facebook. And unfortunately, the advertisers don't fully realize that. And due to that, again, you got massive failures like He-Man, for example, where it fails on both ends, and it causes the audience to retreat to the older stuff. I saw 2002 for the first time, and I loved it. And I believe people like you and some of the older fans went back to the 80s and a little bit of the 2000 show. And again, the only ones to blame are Netflix. This doesn't take anything of what Kevin said into account. I haven't even brought him up once. I just said the show sucked. What does that tell you? Again, it doesn't matter what someone says on the internet at times. If a show sucks, people will say it. You don't even have to know what buggery they did. That's the problem. They don't realize that, yeah, you can hide what you did, but if your show sucks, it's not going to work either way. And they have to realize that when you're a spokesperson, you have to start acting mature about this stuff. Because as someone who studies for marketing, you cannot stoop to this low. And I don't understand how most of these people fully think that this is going to work out and will not backfire on them.
I don't think they really care.
Oh, they will, because again,
In time they will, but a lot of times certain things like that, and it's just a terrible idea. Instead of admitting they're wrong, they'll double down on the same idea.
Yeah, because save face, quote unquote. Again,
Mm-hmm.
the only one I have a little bit of hope for is that Sonic show they're doing, because again, they got the Ben 10 guys doing it, so I have my faith in them, because again, say what you will about the reboot, but a lot of their other work has been pretty good. But again, that one's more of an outsourcing to both Wadbrain, who's the animation, and Man Action, who is the brains.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Netflix really trying to butt in that time, because they got a writing team. So basically, if they make the writing team mad, then it basically screws the production over. So I'm pretty sure they'll stay out of it, unlike He-Man, where they had the advisor. But again, they have to be extremely careful not to screw this up. Especially if they try. Because again,
I know
it's already screwing with people thinking that shows will be good and stuff. But again, if they screw up that Sonic show, it's going to be a nightmare for Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Because He-Man's 80s, but Sonic has 3 generations: 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. If they all hate it, that's 3 generations going after them, which is more than He-Man, which is only the 2. The people who know the 80s show and the people who know the 2000 show. Especially since Sonic is a lot more of a worldwide brand.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if that flops, my God, everybody involved, it'll be a complete disaster. Because here's something funny. Boom had the game flop, but ironically, the show did really well. So it got 2 seasons. It didn't get a third, sadly, but it did really well. And the fans loved the show so much, they basically ignore the games to only bring up the show. Like, it's getting a Blu-ray release. That tells you how much they love that show. And I love it too. I bought the Blu-ray for season 1, and season 2 is coming out soon. And again, that shows you how well that worked out. Because again, even with the failure of the game, especially the Wii U one, the show was so popular that it got a Blu-ray release, when other shows can barely get that years later. So again, I hope Netflix can actually figure out what to do, because if they don't, it's going to be a disaster. Like an absolute mess.
A flip of the coin on the other end is Screen Rant was talking today how Disney / Marvel, whenever they adapt a storyline to the MCU, the creator of that, for the most part being the writer, gets paid $5,000, and that's it. That's all they get paid for their story.
Yeah, because again, it's a contract. They sold it to the company. That's the thing.
Even like the news stories, like say like the whole like Loki story arc for season 1 of Loki. Like they paid.
I did not like that show.
I quit watching it after episode 3. The only thing I'm continually watching from DC has been the Bad Batch, because that's been awesome. I mean Marvel. I get them confused because they're both
That's Lucasfilm. It's Disney.
they're both fluff. Marvel, DC, Disney. I think that, by the end of the year they're all going to be one company. So
I don't think so. Disney has no money. I mean, how much money do you have to lose before you do not have money for purchases? How much did they overspend on Fox? Again, they don't have the funds to buy everything.
yeah, they
And
overspend on all their takeovers because they don't want any competition.
Yeah. And that's going to bite them because now the operating costs are so high. They took out so much debt. It's got to backfire because the films are not doing well and people are already losing interest in Plus. So it's a failure. It's the same thing I'm going to argue with Sony and Crunchyroll. Nobody likes Crunchyroll in the anime community. The only ones who do are probably going to jump ship. Nobody likes Funimation either. Nobody likes the business practices. Nobody likes the controversy that's associated. They tried merging with Aniplex at one point. I don't know what's going on with that because now they spent way too much money on Crunchyroll. So now we're probably going to see the end of Sony's anime division within a year or two because of how big of a failure they overspend. They spent $1 billion on that trash. $1 billion on the trash site. That's overspending and tells me that they are not doing well.
Yeah, they're desperate and grasping at straws to try to find something that will attract, people. So,
I mean, that's going to kill at least the Sony anime division because they overspent trying to get Crunchyroll. And now if they shut it down and roll it into Funimation, well, then you lose all the people there because Funimation is trash. I've used the app. It's not good. And if they try rolling Funimation to Crunchyroll, the Crunchyroll still has a bad name. So it's a lose-lose, and they spend $1 billion basically setting the money on fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with, I'll argue, Disney and all the other companies. Because again, the thing is, I don't see a lot of them continuing in this space because Netflix is uncertain. Amazon, I just feel like if Lord of the Rings fails, they'll just probably pull the plug on everything. Because, yeah, they got the money, but if it flops that bad that they don't make any money, how do you think the new CEO will keep it going?
Not really sure about that, but I know lots of people that all have Prime memberships, and most of them never watch anything on Amazon Prime.
But that's the problem.
Prime is part of the package, so you get the video service, and then you get free shipping on anything for a year. By paying them like $130, $140 up front.
But they separate that and the video service being successful. It's why they canceled shows. Again, I understand people have Prime, but again, that's the problem. If they aren't using Prime Video, then it's a waste of money because how much money are you going to spend on a service that nobody uses? Prime is used. Prime Video is not. And if Lord of the Rings absolutely flops and the money they wasted on MGM doesn't work out well, it's a big failure. For not only Amazon, because they'll probably sell it again because that was a waste, but also they're going to realize that it's a waste of money. You could just remove the video service and not much damage would be done to Prime. People would probably still keep it because, again, they got the music service that people actually use. They got the photos that people use, especially after Google pulled the unlimited. So, again, they could easily just pull out of the video thing and not much would happen. So that's why I question Amazon. Then you got...
And I know the latest Amazon thing is for 99 cents a month, you can get Amazon Unlimited Music, and it will also give you the Paramount Plus network on your Prime.
Oh God. Amazon, Paramount Plus is going to be an absolute train wreck. It already is, but nobody cares about it.
If Paramount Plus has a has like an in-demand button with a loop where it'll go from episode to episode, sadly, I would pay $1 a month just to keep continuously watching the original Star Trek series without having to load in my Blu-rays.
Perhaps, but again, if you have the Blu-rays, just rip it to a hard drive, then make a Plex server, and you're all set.
That's too much work for me. I'm old.
Again, I feel like all the services are going to go down in flames. And
I canceled Netflix back when they were doing that cuties crap.
Oh God, I can't believe
I'm like,
it's a good idea in the market.
Yeah, can't cancel my membership. Won't go back. I canceled Disney Plus not too long after that. And then I canceled Prime because I was supposed to be getting a discount, and they're like, "Oh no, you don't get that." I'm like, "Okay, cancel it and refund me my money," because they had just taken the money out of my account. I'm like, "No, just cancel it. I don't want it no more."
Mm-hmm.
But you're gonna lose. I don't care. Refund, please.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from that. After I did that, I bought another Fire Stick and threw it on my new TV, and I put the apps on there that I watch all the time, which are free. Pluto TV, Tubi, and
ironically, I think those are the only ones that are going to do well, because Tubi and Pluto are actually pretty smart. They're either, with Pluto, it's channel, and with both Pluto and Tubi, it's a bunch of content all in one.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only ones I see doing well because, again, they're cheap to operate, but they make a lot of money on advertising.
Yep.
And people still care about them. I mean, I've seen so many people, especially at some of the other places, use like Pluto or one of the Tubi channels because it's super easy.
And there's animation on both to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And Tubi's getting a lot. I like to watch anime to check it out to see if it's a story I'd even be interested in. So I'll watch like the first 2 or 3 episodes of like a long running show. And if it doesn't have me, I have to keep watching this. Then, it's like, next, take it off the list, go to the next one. Plus I'm old, so there's all kinds of stuff in there from my childhood. So I'm happy.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. None of the other streaming services that are paid have enough to sustain themselves. And again, Crunchyroll is also free, but again, that's a train wreck and nobody uses it. I mean, I did say about being open, but again, I still don't know why most of the people at least with the VA community, were celebrating when that one pirated site went down, and they're like, "Oh yay! Now people are going to." No, they're not going to go to your services, you doo-doos. You have to realize that, again, they are pirating for a reason. If you take down the site, you do not take down the pirates. The pirates go elsewhere. It's literally simple. Like, it's like a mechanism. If the mechanism is incomplete, it will not go forward. You can push it back, but it might still stick. Again, it's a mix of you took out the site, but more are going to pop up. You did nothing.
Yeah, there's a million of them out. There's a million of them out there.
And the way you're acting, the biggest problem, that's only going to cause more people to go in that route, and you just created a whole big problem, because now people who have been told to screw off are now just going to stop giving money. Like, if there's an anime I want to watch or one I want to buy, I ain't buying it through like Aniplex of America or any of the other companies. I'm buying an international version from either Japan or an indie company who bought the license way before, so they already gave the money. So I'm just buying it from the company itself. Like G Kids or what does that one say? I forgot. But again, that's the biggest problem. If they aren't getting it directly, then that's the biggest problem. If the funds aren't coming in that they need.
Oh yeah.
Again,
anything that I want to watch like that, I'll buy the physical media.
And even then, I also have to check to make sure that the release is good, because I do not trust some of the others who, again, censor and other stuff. Because, again, if you're going to lie about, oh, we uncensored it when you didn't, and again, if you censor it for a stupid reason, I'm not going to trust your release. Because, again, how do I know you didn't alter parts of the story? How do I know you didn't alter it against the creator's wishes? That's the problem. Because who cares if it's... The reason why I care, even if it's something small, is because that build of trust was broken. And due to that, it makes me worried, because I'm like, okay, if you change this, what else did you change without telling?
Yeah, how much content am I losing by buying your release because you went and, dug out all the parts that you felt were inappropriate for U.S. audiences? Puppy!
Yeah, that's my little dog, Chewy. He's a pain. Anyway, again, I think a big problem is, again, they don't listen.
Yeah, it's a thing. So you always got to use your best judgment and do a little critical thinking on your own and your own research to find out what's best for you. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. It's been a little over an hour, and why don't you give a final pitch out for the book and tell people where they can follow you online.
Once again, my name is Connery Cateni, and you can find me at dragonmultimediallc.com, on Twitter at dragonmultillc, as well as dragonmultillc on Twitch. On Facebook, it's Connery Cateni _ Dragon Multimedia LLC _, and on YouTube, we are Dragon Multimedia LLC. And be sure to join the mailing list for Shift. The sign-up page is right here. And we are currently at 41 subs. We need 9 more to reveal the secret award for those who sign up and back Shift. You'll get access to a special reward when we do launch, and we will reveal the details of that once we get to 50. And again, we thank you for the opportunity.
Well, it was nice getting to know you and talk to you, Connery, and we wish you all the best, and I'll be keeping an eye on this project. And on the way out, we're going to take a look at the MAVRICS Origin Volume 1 trailer, and the crew from MAVRICS is going to be joining us Friday night right here on Creators Outlet.
War is a topic of vital importance, a subject of inquiry that cannot be ignored. It is a matter of life and death. It can be a road to safety or to ruin.
In an alternate version of our world, brought to the brink of total collapse, rival nations fight for global domination, and elite pilots in futuristic combat suits wage war on the battlefield of tomorrow. Now, 6 brave soldiers on a seemingly routine rescue mission will encounter more than they bargained for and uncover a dangerous secret that could change their world if they live long enough to see it. MAVRICS Origins, Volume 1.